Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. We start our video with a delicious story from a park ranger who had to deal with an annoying and rude visitor. You'll love the ending. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Malicious Compliance in a National Park. Park rangers are pros at answering questions, and we're usually quite happy to do so, even the ones you hear over and over. Where's the tree that you drive through? What's that sign say on the side of the cliff? Are the ice caves accessible yet? And the one you hear more than all others combined, which way are the restrooms? On the occasions when the questioner has a chip on his shoulder, it's really not worth letting it get to you. Just do your job and move on. There will always be somebody much nicer to talk to before very long. At least that's what I've always told the eager young rangers I hired and trained over the years. It's good advice, and I mostly followed it myself. However, I do remember a gentleman who started to get on my nerves back when I was working at a small eastern park renowned for both its history and scenery. This fellow wasn't interested in either right then, he just wanted a bite to eat. That's reasonable enough, and I pointed him in the direction of several nearby establishments. The problem arose when he asked which one I thought he should go to. Unfortunately, for a bunch of reasons too complicated to go into here, we were strictly forbidden to recommend one local business over another. I apologized and explained that I couldn't say one way or the other, but that wasn't good enough for our man. He blew his top at me. "That's chicken crap! I pay your salary!" and so on. You know the drill. I apologized again, then let him rant a bit more, and just as I was about to smile and turn away, he came up with an idea that I'm sure he thought was pretty darn clever. "Well, where do you go for lunch? Can you tell me that at least, or is that something else you have to keep a secret?" "Thank you, God," I murmured silently. "I owe you one." "Sure, I can tell you that much at least. I usually go to a place called the Powerhouse, and I can tell you how to get there." He puffed up in triumph as I gave him detailed directions out of town and down a dirt road to the abandoned hydroelectric plant where I like to park and eat my brown bag lunch. The road's a bit rugged in stretches, but there are some mighty fine views of the river, and I hope he enjoyed them. The second some entitled jerk says, "I pay your wages," hit them, "Oh, I've been meaning to talk to you about my pay." Watch them backtrack like crazy. And our second story. You want to take my security deposit? Perhaps you should read your own contract. A few years ago, I was looking for a place to live, and I came across an interesting advertisement looking for property guardians. The idea behind property guardians is that disused buildings are far more secure if they're occupied. So owners of empty properties will allow people to live there temporarily for incredibly cheap price. So the guardian gets to live in a, usually quite interesting, disused building incredibly cheaply. The owner makes a small additional bit of income and has someone keeping their eye on the place. This arrangement is usually done through a third-party guardian company who act as the intermediary. This particular advert was for a pub that had recently closed. My interest piqued, so I went along to a viewing. The space was huge, and they were only asking for a few £100, all bills included, so I went for it, along with a group of other people. We all picked our rooms. I got the bar area, a huge room with ensuite ladies and gents toilets, a big fireplace, and cozy pub decor. We also had full use of the sizable pub kitchen, beer cellar, dishwashing room, double garage, car park, and a massive garden with a barbecue area. For the most part, it was a great gig. I got to live in a pub, have all the space I wanted, and as the building was due to be destroyed, we could pretty much do what we liked with the internals. I put up curtains and temporary walls and made it my cozy home for the next couple of years. Other guardians moved in and out over the months, but myself and a couple others were there for the long term. Aside from the odd, dodgy person coming and going, I had 2 of my tires slashed at one point. That's another story. All was pretty cushy. The owner of the guardian company, and thus the person I paid my rent to, was a large, red-faced man who was quite full of himself. He tended to be quite bossy and sometimes aggressive, but I stayed out of his way. As long as I paid my rent and didn't cause him trouble, he left me alone, all until the end of the tenancy. I'd moved out, returned my keys, and was awaiting the return of my security deposit. At some point, a car had been dumped on the property. I hadn't noticed because one of the previous guardians, who I'll call Rob, had pushed it around to the back of the property and had been working on it. I just assumed it was his car. The first of the emails from the Guardian company read, "The Volvo dumped in the car park was not reported to us and must be removed from the site. Rob has declined to take responsibility of the vehicle and has alleged it was reported to the police, and yet none of you have reported to us on such a serious issue. I would suggest that it be placed on the public highway and then the police will deal with whomever owns the vehicle." Wait, did you just incite us to commit fly tipping? I emailed back and said the car wasn't my responsibility and thus I won't be moving it. Things went back and forth like this for a while, with the owner insisting that we were all responsible. Emphasis here means it's important later. Stop arguing, as I don't care, and if it's not gone, then you'll all be accountable to the issue. Rob was contacted and has said it's not his, and now the burden falls on all of you that knew about the car and failed to report it. At this point, I mentioned small claims court as an idle threat to see what would happen. Yep, you have failed to report an incident that's something that's detrimental to the property. You were in breach of the license for failing to do so. Happy to see you in court, and explaining that you were put into the building as an act of security by occupation, and while there, you failed to report a dumped car. Right, it's on. I pulled out the contract and went back over it with a fine-tooth comb. At this point, another email came through. "Dear all, please be aware that you were all under license at the property and not tenants and had no tenancy rights as clearly stated in the license that you all agreed to and signed. Under the license, you act as security for the property and were responsible for reporting any incidents, and also were responsible for keeping the property safe, secure, and as stated, any items left will be charged for removal. The items left were dumped outside and certainly were not there throughout your time on site and must have been placed there by one or more of you. This was accompanied by photographs of even more stuff that other guardians had left on the property, furniture, etc., but I wasn't going to be responsible for any of their stuff. This guy thought he could bully us out of our money because we didn't have a legal tenancy and were therefore not covered by UK laws protecting tenants. I wasn't going down without a fight. We may not be covered by tenants' rights, so everything would fall back to basic contract law. I found the interesting parts of the occupation license agreement that I had with the Guardian company. Damage security payment means the amount payable by the Guardian to cover the cost of any damages caused by the Guardian, but not anybody else. And since this contract is between myself and the Guardian company with no jointly and severally liable clause, I can't be held responsible for anyone else's mess. Great. But there's more. This one's interesting. 3.1. The Guardian company provides services to property owners to, among other benefits, secure premises against trespassers and protect such premises from damage. The Guardian company has agreed to provide such services to the owner in respect of the property. So we don't provide security. That's the responsibility of the Guardian company, which we're not a part of. But wait, there's more. The Guardian will, 10.1.10, not remove anything from the property other than things that he or she brought there. Boom. Gotcha. I fired back an email. Please see section 3.1 of the license agreement signed by myself and the Guardian company owner. It stipulates that you, the Guardian company, provide security, not us, the Guardians. Please also see section 10.1.10. Given that I did not bring either the car or the furniture onto the property, it would in fact be a breach of your own license agreement for me to remove it. In this case, I'll be complying with your contract and thus will not remove the items that I did not bring onto the property. Please return my security deposit within 3 working days or I will be forced to take legal action. Their response. At this point, we're happy to see you in court, and please do not contact us unless via your solicitor, as we'll be charging for our time to deal with such matters. If you can demonstrate who's responsible for leaving the items for us to deal with, we will look at this. But as stated previously, these items were not there previously and have dumped them outside. All of you failed to report the car. Sounds like he was shaken up a little and probably hoped I was bluffing. Unfortunately for him, I wasn't. I filed the court papers after 3 working days. He caved as soon as he received the court papers and realized that I wasn't bluffing. He repaid our deposits along with my court fees the very next day. Victory! I think he was all bluster and probably cons everyone out of their deposits unless, like you, they stand their ground. And our last story. Entitled Old Man Steals Our Fruit, tells us it was public property. Cast. G is my grandmother, owner of the house. F is my father, grower of the plants. ED is entitled dude. Backstory. We're fortunate enough to live on a quarter-acre property. My great-grandfather built my house years and years ago, so G owns the house I live in. F grows all sorts of plants, including pitaya. Pitaya is a fruit that only fruits from July to October where I live, and we've been waiting years to get it to the amount that my family of 14 can have fruit, plus extra to give to neighbors and friends. So G hears these people talking about the fruit. Of course, she goes to check. For some reason, people think they're entitled to steal fruit over here. So entitled dude, a 60 to 70-year-old man, has a not even ripe fruit in his hands and is walking away like nothing happened. My grandmother stops him and asks what the hell he thinks he's doing. "Oh, I found this fruit. I don't know what it is, and I think my grandkids will be interested too." There's no way you could have gotten that fruit without trespassing. "It was hanging over the fence. That's C&C property." F's car is on C&C property. Does that mean you can take the wheels? I'm calling the police if you don't give it back now. "I'm a retired police officer. I pay my taxes." Just give the fruit back. Grandma grabs the fruit and he starts yelling, trying to grab it back. F runs to help her. "I hope you believe in your shirt, 'cause you certainly aren't acting Christian." G's wearing a shirt that says faith over fear. "Haven't you read, 'Thou shalt not steal'? You sure aren't either." F you. Have a nice day. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.